The sleek diplomatic vessel of the Galactic Council hung motionless against the backdrop of stars, its crystalline hull reflecting Earth's blue glow. Ambassador Gray stood at the observation deck, his 4 eyes fixed on the planet below. Something about this particular first contact felt different, though he couldn't quite explain why. "Ambassador, the human representatives are ready to dock," announced First Officer Blue, her scales shifting to match the formal colors of diplomatic meetings. Gray straightened his ceremonial robes. After 200 years of establishing first contact with various species, he had developed a sense for how these meetings usually went. Young civilizations were typically either overly eager or terribly nervous. The humans, oddly enough, seemed neither. The docking procedure went smoothly, too smoothly for a species that had supposedly just achieved faster-than-light travel 6 months ago. The human ship matched their docking protocols perfectly on the first try, something that usually took several attempts even with guidance. 3 human representatives entered the diplomatic chamber. They wore simple blue uniforms without any excessive decoration or signs of rank, except for small silver pins on their collars. The one in the middle, who introduced himself as Captain Walker, smiled pleasantly. "On behalf of Earth and humanity, we are honored to be welcomed by the Galactic Council," Walker said, his tone measured and calm. Gray noticed how the captain's eyes took in every detail of the room while maintaining perfect diplomatic composure. As they sat down for the formal first contact proceedings, Gray began the standard assessment questions. The humans answered everything correctly, almost too correctly, as if they had rehearsed their responses. "And how long ago did your species discover nuclear fission?" Gray asked, following the technological development checklist. "Approximately 80 years ago," Walker replied without hesitation. "We've since moved primarily to fusion and solar collection for our energy needs." Officer Blue, who was monitoring the humans' vital signs, sent Gray a private message through their neural link. "Ambassador, their stress levels haven't fluctuated once during questioning. Every other species shows at least some anxiety during this process." Gray filed this observation away, but continued with the protocol. "We notice your planet shows signs of recent climate stabilization. Would you tell us about that process?" Walker nodded, launching into an explanation that perfectly matched the development level of a young spacefaring race. He described their struggles and solutions, their mistakes and corrections, all fitting neatly into the expected timeline. During the next 3 hours, the humans presented their history, technological capabilities, and social structures. Everything they shared aligned with a civilization that had just reached the stars. Yet something in their demeanor suggested more. It was in the way they held themselves, the careful precision of their answers, and their lack of amazement at alien technology that should have been wondrous to them. As the meeting concluded, Gray performed the ceremonial scanning of Earth's solar system, a standard procedure to assess new member species' development level. The scans showed exactly what the humans claimed: a handful of colonies on Mars and their moon, some mining operations in their asteroid belt, and early terraforming attempts on Venus. After the human delegation departed, Gray remained in his chamber, reviewing the meeting recordings. First Officer Blue entered, her scales now showing concerned patterns. "Your thoughts, Ambassador?" she asked. Gray gestured to the holographic display showing Earth. "In 2 centuries of first contacts, I've never met a species so perfect in their responses. They didn't ask a single question about our technology. Not one." "Perhaps they're just well prepared," Blue suggested. "Perhaps." Gray turned to face his officer. "Or perhaps we're not seeing everything there is to see. Send a message to Central Council. Request permission for extended observation of human space. Market priority level 2. As the message was sent, Gray watched Earth rotate slowly in the hologram. The humans had passed every test, met every criterion, and followed every protocol exactly as expected. And that, paradoxically, was what worried him most. Little did he know, deep in the shadows of a distant solar system, hidden behind quantum fields and gravitational lenses, something massive was stirring. Humanity's greatest secret waited silently in the void, its true purpose known only to a select few. Junior Investigator Smith stared at his data screen until his eyes hurt. The numbers didn't make sense, and he had checked them 20 times already. According to the standard energy consumption models, Earth should be using far more power than they reported. Yet their civilization seemed to function perfectly with what they claimed to use. "Computer, run the calculations again," he said, rubbing his tired eyes. The holographic display flickered, showing the same results as before. His office in the lower levels of the Galactic Council Tower was small, but it was his. After 5 years of analyzing energy patterns of member species, he had developed a knack for spotting irregularities. The humans had too many irregularities to count. A soft chime announced a visitor. "Enter," Smith called out, not looking up from his screens. Ambassador Gray walked in, his 4 eyes scanning the cramped space. "You requested an urgent meeting, Investigator." Smith straightened in his chair. "Yes, Ambassador. Look at these readings." He pulled up a holographic chart. "This shows Earth's reported energy usage." He gestured, and a second chart appeared beside it. "And this shows their actual technological output. They're achieving more with less energy than should be possible." Gray moved closer to the displays, his secondary eyes narrowing. "Explain." "Their ships, their cities, their industries. Everything they build operates at impossible efficiency levels. At first, I thought they had made some breakthrough in energy technology. But then I found something else." Smith pulled up a new display showing gravitational maps of human space. "These distortions here," Smith pointed to several dark spots at the edge of human territory. "They appear and disappear at regular intervals. Something massive is causing them, but there's nothing visible there." Gray's scales shifted to a deeper shade of blue. "Could it be natural phenomena?" "No, Ambassador. The patterns are too regular. And here's the strangest part. When I tried to access detailed scans of those regions, I discovered our sensors were being—" Smith paused, choosing his words carefully. "Politely redirected." "Redirected." Gray's voice sharpened. "Yes. Not blocked or jammed. That would be obvious. Instead, our scans are subtly guided away from certain areas. It's so smooth we never noticed it during the initial surveys. I only caught it because I was specifically looking for anomalies." Gray paced the small office, his ceremonial robes brushing against stacks of data crystals. "How long has this been happening?" "Since first contact, at least. Maybe longer." Smith brought up another display. "And there's more. I've been monitoring their communication patterns. They're sending more data between their worlds than their reported technology should allow. It's like they have an entire hidden infrastructure we can't see." The ambassador was silent for a long moment. "What do you think it means, Investigator?" Smith took a deep breath. "I think the humans are hiding something big. Really big. Their whole technological presentation. It's like a carefully constructed facade. They're showing us exactly what we expect to see from a young spacefaring race. Nothing more, nothing less." "But why?" Gray wondered aloud. "That's what worries me most," Smith replied. "What could make an entire species decide to hide their true capabilities? What are they preparing for?" Gray moved to the office's small window, looking out at the massive council spires stretching into the purple sky. "Continue your investigation, but keep it quiet. I'll arrange for a covered observation team tow." He was interrupted by an urgent message notification. Smith pulled up the alert, and both of them stared at the incoming data. One of the gravitational anomalies had just grown exponentially. "Ambassador," Smith whispered, "I don't think we can keep this quiet anymore. Something's happening out there. Something big." Gray's scales had shifted to the pale color of concern. "Send everything you have to my secure terminal. And Smith," he paused at the door, "be careful who you share this with. If the humans are hiding something this massive, they must have eyes and ears everywhere." As the ambassador left, Smith looked back at his screens, at the puzzling data that hinted at impossible things hidden in the dark between the stars. Whatever the humans were hiding, he had a feeling the galaxy wasn't ready for it. The scout ship Seeker drifted silently through the empty system, its advanced stealth systems making it nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. Captain Green of the Council Investigation Fleet watched the readings with growing amazement. What they had found hidden in this supposedly uninhabited system defied belief. "Display the full scan again," he ordered, his voice barely above a whisper. The holographic display lit up, showing something that shouldn't exist. A partial Dyson swarm stretching across millions of kilometers. Countless satellites and structures orbited the system's star in perfect harmony, each one larger than a typical space station. The entire megastructure pulsed with energy readings that went off the charts. "How did they hide this?" First Officer White asked, her tentacles curling in disbelief. "The energy output alone should have been visible from halfway across the galaxy." Green zoomed in on one section of the swarm. "Look at the surface material. It's some kind of quantum crystalline structure. It doesn't just hide the megastructure. It actively redirects any scanning beams around it. We only found it because that last gravitational spike temporarily overloaded the camouflage." "Sir," the sensor operator called out, "I'm detecting signs of construction dating back. This can't be right." He checked the readings again. The oldest sections are at least 300 years old. The bridge fell silent. 300 years. Humanity had been building this structure long before they supposedly achieved spaceflight. "There's more, sir," the operator continued. "The construction techniques improved over time, but the basic design principles remained the same. They knew exactly what they were building from the start. This wasn't trial and error. They had a master plan." Green sent a priority message to Ambassador Gray. Within minutes, the ambassador's hologram appeared on the bridge. "Report," Gray commanded, all four eyes focused intently. "Ambassador, we found it." Green transmitted the scan data. The humans didn't just hide their technology. They hid an entire civilization's worth of advancement. "This megastructure, it's beyond anything in Council records." Gray's hologram flickered as he processed the information. "This changes everything. The Council must be informed immediately." "Sir," White interrupted, "we're detecting movement. Multiple ships just appeared near the outer edge of the structure. They're using some kind of advanced warp technology we've never seen before." Green watched as dozens of human vessels materialized around the Dyson swarm. Their designs were nothing like the simple ships Earth had shown the Council. These were sleek, powerful, and clearly built for war. "They know we're here," Green said quietly. "Our stealth systems, they'd probably knew we were here the whole time." A communication request flashed on the main screen. After a moment's hesitation, Green accepted it. The face that appeared wasn't angry or threatening. Instead, Admiral Reed of the Earth Defense Force looked almost relieved. "Captain Green," he said calmly, "I believe it's time we had an honest conversation about humanity's place in the galaxy. You've been lying to us from the start," Gray's hologram stated. Reed nodded. "Not lying, Ambassador. Preparing. There are things out there that the Council doesn't know about. Things we've been getting ready to face for centuries." "What things?" Green asked. "If you'll accept our invitation to dock, we'll show you." Reed's expression grew serious. "It's time the Council learned why we built all this, why we had to hide. The galaxy is about to change, Captain. We just hope you're ready for what comes next." As the human ships moved to escort the Seeker, Green couldn't help but wonder what could make an entire species go to such lengths to hide their true nature. Whatever it was, he had a feeling they were about to find out. And he wasn't sure the Council was ready for the answer. The Grand Council chamber hadn't been this full in 50 years. Representatives from every Council species packed the circular room, their voices creating a constant murmur of concerned discussion. At the center, displayed on the massive holographic projector, rotated the image of humanity's hidden megastructure. Council leader Marcus, his crystalline form reflecting the chamber's lights, called for order. "This emergency session will now begin. We demand answers. He turned all three of his sensor arrays toward the human delegation. Admiral Reed, explain yourself. Admiral Reed stood calmly at the speaker's podium. Unlike the simple uniforms humans had worn before, he now wore an advanced suit that seemed to shift colors with his movements. Honorable Council, what you discovered is one of several such structures. And yes, we've hidden them for centuries. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Marcus raised his arms for silence. Several. And what is their purpose? Defense, Reed answered simply. We detected your civilizations long before you found us. Ambassador Gray stepped forward. Impossible. Our borders were secure. Reed smiled slightly. With respect, Ambassador, they weren't. 400 years ago, we picked up your first transmissions. We watched, we learned, and we prepared. Prepared for what? Smith asked from his newly promoted position in the investigation committee. War. Reed touched a control on his suit, and the hologram changed to show a star map. Your civilizations were not the first we detected. There were others, from beyond the galaxy's edge. We watched them too. What we saw terrified us. The Admiral's words hung in the air as he continued. Humanity made a choice. We could announce ourselves, share our discoveries, and hope for the best. Or we could prepare in secret, build our defenses, and be ready when the time came. Ready for what? Marcus demanded. The invasion. Reed expanded the star map, showing dark areas between galaxies. They're coming. We've tracked their movements for centuries. A force that consumes entire galaxies, moving from one to the next. Your civilizations were too focused on internal politics to notice. We had to be ready. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. These megastructures, Reed gestured to the original hologram, are not just power collectors. They're fortress worlds. Defensive platforms capable of protecting entire sectors. We built them in secret because we couldn't risk word getting out. We couldn't risk the enemy learning of our preparations. Ambassador Gray's scales had turned pale. How many? 12 complete structures, 7 more under construction. Reed's voice was steady, each one capable of powering defenses for an entire sector of space, each one built to last for thousands of years. And the simple ships you showed us? Smith asked. A necessary deception. Our real fleet remains hidden, spread across the defensive platforms. We have ships that could cross the galaxy in days, weapons that could move stars if needed. Reed looked around the chamber. We didn't hide these things because we wanted to conquer or control. We hid them because someone had to be ready. Council leader Marcus floated forward. You speak of invasion, of threats beyond our galaxy. Where is your proof? Look at your long-range sensors, Reed said quietly. The ones pointed at the Andromeda galaxy. Look at the dark spots spreading across it. That's not natural. That's them. And they're coming here next. The chamber erupted in chaos as dozens of representatives rushed to verify the claims. Marcus called for order again, but the panic had already begun to spread. Reed waited for the noise to die down before speaking again. We're telling you this now because we're out of time. The invasion will reach our galaxy within 5 years. You can waste time punishing us for our deception, or you can help us prepare for what's coming. The choice is yours, but humanity will fight either way. We've spent 4 centuries getting ready for this moment. We won't fail now. The Council's private meeting chamber felt smaller than usual as various faction leaders argued over humanity's revelations. 3 days had passed since Admiral Reed's announcement, and the political landscape of the galaxy had turned upside down. They must be punished, shouted Representative Black of the Trade Worlds, his metallic skin flashing with anger patterns. They'd broken every trust agreement we have. Council leader Marcus watched from his elevated platform as the debate raged. Next to him, Ambassador Gray remained unusually quiet, his scales a thoughtful shade of blue. Punish them. With what? Asked Defense Minister Stone, her crystalline form vibrating with nervous energy. Did you miss the part about their hidden fleet? The megastructures. They could have conquered us all centuries ago if they wanted to. The chamber's holographic displays showed live feeds from across Council space. On every world, citizens were reacting to the news. Some planets called for war against humanity. Others begged for human protection against the coming threat. The humans have already received 16 private requests for alliance from member worlds, Smith reported, checking his datapad. More are coming in every hour. Black spun toward him. Traitors. They would abandon the council. They would survive. Stone countered. The humans have proof of their claims. The dark spots in Andromeda are real. We've confirmed it ourselves now. The chamber doors slid open, and Admiral Reed entered with 2 other human representatives. They wore their true military uniforms now, sleek suits with built-in computer systems and energy shields. Honorable Council, Reed began, we understand your anger, but we don't have time for lengthy debates. Our long-range sensors show the enemy has accelerated their advance. He gestured, and new holographic images appeared. They showed massive dark shapes moving between the galaxies, each one larger than a solar system. Dear stars, whispered Black, his anger patterns fading to fear. We're activating our defensive networks, Reed continued. All 19 megastructures will be fully operational within 2 months. We're offering protection to any world that wants it, council approval or not. Marcus raised his crystalline arms for silence. You bypass council authority. With respect, Leader Marcus, we bypassed council authority 400 years ago when we began building our defenses. We won't stop now, not when we're so close to the moment we prepared for. Representative Black moved closer to the humans. And if we refuse your help, if we demand you shut down these megastructures, Reed's expression remained calm. Then you're welcome to try stopping the invasion on your own. But know this, humanity will defend this galaxy whether you approve or not. We've spent too long preparing to back down now. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. On the displays, more council worlds were publicly declaring their support for Earth. There's something else, Smith said suddenly, studying his readings. The human megastructures, they're moving. All eyes turned to the main hologram. The massive Dyson swarms were indeed shifting, their orbits changing with impossible precision. Formation alignment, Reed explained. Each structure is taking up its designated defensive position. The network will cover every major population center in the galaxy. Stone's crystalline form sparkled with sudden understanding. You're not just offering to protect us. You already were protecting us. All this time. Yes, Reed nodded. Every measurement, every calculation, every structure. It was all designed to shield the entire galaxy, not just Earth, not just humanity, everyone. Marcus floated down from his platform. And what do you want in return for this protection? Survival, Reed answered simply. We all face extinction if we don't stand together. Humanity didn't hide our advancement because we wanted to deceive you. We hid because we needed to be ready. Now we need you to be ready too. In the central command room of Megastructure 7, Council representatives watched in horror as the long-range sensors showed the truth. The dark fleet approaching their galaxy was bigger than anyone had imagined. Thousands of massive shapes moved through the void, each one blocking out the stars behind it. How many? Council leader Marcus asked, his crystalline form dimming with dread. Admiral Reed stood at the main control station, his hands moving across holographic displays. Our latest count shows over 10,000 capital ships, each one roughly the size of a small moon. Behind them, he paused, adjusting the display. Behind them are their world eaters. The screen zoomed in on one of the larger shapes. It looked like a massive black web, stretching across space for millions of kilometers. Stars that passed through it simply disappeared. They consume everything, Reed explained. Matter, energy, even light. They break down entire solar systems and use them for fuel. Ambassador Gray moved closer to the display, his scales now a pale white of fear. This is why you built the megastructures. You knew they were coming. We detected their approach 400 years ago. Reed nodded. At first, we thought we were seeing natural phenomena. Then we watched them consume the first galaxy in their path. We knew we had to prepare. Defense Minister Stone's crystalline form vibrated with nervous energy. Your megastructures can stop this. Not alone. Reed touched another control, bringing up new displays. But they're not just power stations or defensive platforms. Each one is also a weapon. Together, they form a network that can channel enough energy to tear space itself apart. The room fell silent as human technicians worked at their stations. Through the massive window, they could see parts of the megastructure moving, massive sections realigning themselves with precision that seemed impossible for their size. Incoming transmission from Megastructure 3. A technician called out. They finished final calibrations. The defense grid is at 90% alignment. Smith, now serving as the Council's chief investigator, studied the readings on his pad. These power levels, they're beyond anything we thought possible. You could move planets with this much energy. That's the idea, Reed said grimly. We're not just going to stop them. We're going to close the door behind them, permanently. New alarms suddenly blared through the command center. The main screen shifted to show the enemy fleet accelerating. They've spotted our defense grid, Reed announced. They're making their move earlier than expected. He opened a channel to all Council worlds. All stations, begin emergency protocols. This is not a drill. Across the galaxy, the 19 megastructures hummed to life. Energy began flowing between them, creating a web of power that lit up space itself. Council ships scrambled to defensive positions as human vessels emerged from hidden docks, their true forms finally revealed. To all Council species, Reed's voice echoed across every communication channel. For centuries, we hid our true strength. We watched and waited, building our defenses in secret. Now you know why. The enemy that has consumed countless galaxies has finally reached ours. But we are ready. The enemy fleet drew closer, their dark shapes blocking out more stars with each passing moment. We offer you a choice, Reed continued. Stand with us, fight with us, or find shelter and let us protect you. But know this, humanity will not yield. We did not spend 4 centuries preparing to fail now. As the Council representatives watched, more ships appeared. Vessels from dozens of member species, joining the human fleet in formation. Maybe, Ambassador Gray said quietly, humanity's paranoia wasn't paranoia after all. Reed's expression remained grim as he watched the enemy approach. We're about to find out. The galaxy lit up like a new star being born. 19 megastructures, built in secret over centuries by humanity, fired as one. Their combined energy created a web of light that stretched across space, meeting the approaching darkness head-on. In the command center of Megastructure 7, Admiral Reed watched as the first wave of enemy ships hit their defensive grid. All stations, report, he ordered. Defense grid holding at 98%. A human technician called out. Enemy ships are attempting to breach the energy web. Council leader Marcus floated near the main display, his crystalline form reflecting the flashes of battle. Around him, representatives from every Council species watched in awe as humanity's true power was finally unveiled. Second wave approaching, Smith announced from his station. These are larger than the first. The dark ships, each one larger than a moon, pressed against the human defense grid. Where light met darkness, space itself seemed to tear. The enemy vessels tried to use their matter-consuming weapons, but the megastructure's energy field prevented them from getting close enough. They've never faced resistance like this, Reed explained. In every galaxy before ours, they swept through without opposition. But we've had centuries to prepare. A massive explosion lit up the sensors as one of the enemy ships was torn apart by the defense grid. Then another, and another. The darkness began to retreat, pulling back from the web of energy. They're regrouping, Defense Minister Stone observed, her crystalline form vibrating with excitement. "We've actually stopped them." "Not yet," Reed said grimly. "That was just their advance force." "Look." The main screen showed new signals approaching. The real invasion fleet had arrived. Millions of dark ships, led by entities so large they distorted space around them. "All megastructures, full power," Reed commanded. "Execute Protocol Omega." The 19 structures began to move, their massive forms shifting in space. Energy flowed between them in new patterns, creating geometric shapes of pure power. "What are they doing?" Ambassador Gray asked, his scales shifting colors rapidly. "Changing the rules," Reed answered. "We're not just defending anymore. We're closing the door." The megastructures aligned into a perfect pattern. At each point where their energy beams crossed, space itself began to warp. The enemy fleet, caught in the middle of the pattern, suddenly found themselves trapped. "Now," Reed ordered. Every human ship in the galaxy fired at once, their weapons linking with the megastructure's energy web. The combined power created something new, a cascade of spatial distortions that began to fold space itself. "The barrier was forming," a technician reported. "Quantum readings are off the scale." The enemy fleet, for the first time in their long history of conquest, found themselves unable to move either forward or back. The space around them was being changed at a fundamental level. "What we're doing," Reed explained to the stunned council members, "is creating a permanent barrier between galaxies, a wall they can never break through. They'll be trapped in the void between galaxies forever." The enemy ships, realizing their danger too late, tried to retreat, but the spatial fold was already closing. In a final flash of light that briefly outshone the galaxy itself, the barrier sealed. The invasion fleet vanished, trapped in a pocket of altered spacetime. Silence fell across the command center. Then, slowly, celebration began to spread across every communication channel. The galaxy was safe. 400 years of preparation, Reed said quietly. 400 years of keeping secrets. And it worked. Council leader Marcus turned to the Admiral. "You've changed everything. The galaxy will never be the same." "That was always the plan," Reed smiled. "We didn't just build these structures to save humanity. We built them to save everyone." And now, he looked at the representatives from every council species working together at their stations. "Now we can all build something new. Together." As the celebrations continued, the 19 megastructures settled into their new permanent positions, standing guard over a galaxy forever changed by humanity's greatest secret and their greatest gift.